Hi everybody, Creative Katie Karen Burchill here. Welcome to my channel and an art journal tutorial. This one features negative painting technique. A while ago I did this puzzle piece one where I collaged the puzzle pieces on and I found lots of great quotes. "You are my missing piece" is one of those quotes, and I wanted to do that and use the puzzle piece template again. So I am using my fine line applicator and just writing this quote down across the bottom. I want to be able to see some of this script later on. I'm not being too careful about this. Now, many people ask what's in my fine line applicator. It is black Liquitex Basics paint that I've thinned down, and I do not fill the bottle, and there really isn't a recipe. I put a little paint, a little bit of water, shake it up, and test to see that I get the thickness that I like. It should keep, when you write like this, it should keep the shape. Now, when you're using the fine line applicator, you need to make sure you don't put your wrist in the wet paint. It takes a little bit of time to dry because there's levels of it. Here I'm just adding more script just to fill in the blank spaces. If you don't want to print that out, you could type it out, print on tissue paper, print on collage papers, and collage that down. That would add texture to your art journal page. Here I'm just adding the word love, which is the missing piece. Now I'm going to use a variety of colors here. I want to make a colorful, patterned background. Now I found that every piece needs some yellow. In fact, I wish I had one more bit of yellow on there, but I didn't. I just find it just somehow brings a little bit of light to the overall page. I am putting wet on wet, and I'm applying what I know about color theory, what colors work, will mix and make nice colors, and which ones are not going to make a nice color. If I put that blue next to the orange, for instance, it's going to make a brown color that I'm not going to like. So avoid using colors that are across each other from the color wheel because they're the ones that are going to turn brown and ugly. And if you're making a brown, that's great. You can make browns that way. But when you want to keep it light and bright, like I do here, I'm avoiding it. Now, some of these are more translucent, like the orange. You can see the writing pop through, the yellow. And some, the bright aqua, the turquoise, are more opaque. They're blocking whatever's underneath it. And I like having that mix as well. Remember, my goal wasn't to see all the script. I just want some of that script peeking through, and it does in the end. Now I'm going to apply lots of layers of stencils and colors. Now, typically when I start, I pick a pattern, fairly large shape, and I come in with white. Now, why white? Because I know it adds brightness to the page, and I know that upcoming layers of stencils and patterns are going to push that back. So you're not really going to see it. It's not going to be in your face. So here I'm coming with bright aqua and this microbial stencil. The first stencil was Fantasy Tile. This is Art Deco, and I will link these in the description box below in my Amazon store. There are also, many of these are available at ninniesnapkins.com or at TCW. Affiliate links are for all these places are down below. Adding a little bit more white with this Fantangle stencil, sorry. I know I'm going to be doing the negative painting technique, And I know I want to stick to blue, so I want to make sure that blue color, aqua color is in this somewhere. I also want this to be fairly light. And here is the background. It's a little bit dark. We're having cloudy, wintry days here. So now I'm moving on to the puzzle pieces. Now these puzzle pieces, I believe I cut with my silhouette, a cut file, and these are my templates, but you could just use regular puzzle pieces. Go through your child's stash or go at a thrift store and buy some puzzle pieces, and you can use those as templates. Now I'm leaving the one space open. You see that? That's where I'm going to put the sentiment, "You are my missing piece." Now I grabbed this pen, this Sharpie pen, which I've had luck with before, but I think I erred in not letting the acrylic paint completely dry. That combined with this is a very fine point wasn't giving me the line that I wanted. So I do switch that up. But what I'm going to do, I didn't want to use the regular Sharpie because it smells. That thin Sharpie doesn't have a smell. So if you're sensitive like I am, you may want to look into that. Just make sure your paint is all dry. So here I switch up to this profile pen. It is bold, it's wider. It's just a regular pen. And the risk of using a regular pen is it kind of has that shine or sheen, but I know I'm going to do some shading and stuff, and I'm thinking, and painting right next to it, I figure I could cover that up. Now I want to bring out the puzzle pieces. So what I'm using here is my angle brush, and I'm using the floating acrylic shading technique. I do have a video that if you just do a search for floating acrylic, it will come up where I specifically teach how to do this. And this is a great technique. Now, the reason I used this instead of charcoal right now is because I'm coming back in and I'm going to use the negative painting technique. And I wanted these puzzle pieces to be a little bit more visible when I was doing that, and I didn't want it to be charcoal or Stabilo all pencil, which would reactivate and move when I put wet stuff, wet medium next to it. Which is why I like using the floating acrylic technique, because it's acrylic paint, permanent when dry. It's not going to move, and it's easy. And no, I do skip ahead, and I do not show you every step of this, but you can see how it stands out. The one trick with the floating acrylic technique, I know I've not said I wasn't going to teach this, is putting pressure on the brush. And I'm just using my black, but you could shade, you could do the floating acrylic technique with a variety of colors, any kind of acrylic paint. So now I'm going to use the negative painting technique. I am painting out all the negative space, the non-focal image space, and I'm using a combination of turquoise, bright aqua, and Prussian blue. And I'm getting a little bit of that on my angle brush. Now here I'm switching to a smaller angle brush, but I actually end up using the one angle brush throughout all of it. Because of the angle, I can get right up close to that puzzle piece and into those tight spaces. If you don't have an angle brush, I highly recommend getting one. So here I'm putting bright aqua and I'm mixing it. Now my goal here is to push back the background, but not obliterate it. I still want to see the pattern. I still want to see that texture. And that's what you get. Now again, the bright aqua is very opaque. The Prussian blue is less, and I do thin it a little bit with water to lessen the opacity of it. And I mix the color because I don't want it all one tone. I could have put black on the background and the puzzle pieces would have really popped. I did try the purple, didn't like the effect. A lot of times when you see negative painting, people paint it out with white. So I'm just working and making that focal image come out, which is what negative painting is all about. You're painting out the negative space to allow the positive focal image to shine. And you can use any shape. This could have been hearts, stars. Now, an alternate way of doing this, I could have had the background there and then cut out all the pieces out of gel prints or a masterboard and collage them down, which would give a similar but different effect. In fact, if you do the shading correctly, it should look kind of 3D at the end, where you're not sure if the puzzle pieces are collaged down or the negative painting technique. Negative painting is a great technique to use when you have a very busy, colorful, patterned background. And I love creating those backgrounds. It's very freeing. I just go at it. While for this page, I did have a plan from the beginning of where I was going. Sometimes I just want to throw color and pattern around, and I end up with that. And it's like, okay, now what am I going to do with this? This is so busy. How am I going to make a focal point stand out? And I love how you have every puzzle piece is unique, every puzzle piece is different. Just checking, making sure that I've painted all the little spaces that I needed to. Now I grabbed my General's charcoal. This is extra soft, and I'm doing shading with this. Now I could have done the floating acrylic technique again, but quite honestly, using the General's charcoal pencil is faster. And I know right now I'm pretty much done. I'm not going to be adding any wet layers to this, so the charcoal is not going to move. If you use the charcoal and you are going to add those things, you need to spray it with a fixative. There's a workable fixative from Krylon, and I often use Spectrafix, which again has no scent and is all natural. But I love the charcoal pencil here, this general one. It's a really dark black, and it really is making those puzzle pieces come out. And this time I'm going on the outside of the puzzle. Where I shaded before on the inside, now I'm shading on the outside. And this is helping it step up from the background, stand out from the background. Now I'm using this charcoal pencil around the outside edge. I'm loving how this piece turned out. And this was kind of a trial to see if I want to do this on a wood panel, and I definitely will be. That's one of the reasons I do my art journal. I test out ideas and plans. Using gel medium to put down my sentiment. If you're looking for digital sentiments, I have a whole set. They're all available at Ninny's Napkins as digital downloads. And the link is in my description box where you can go and see all what's included in every pack. Now we started this page with our fine line bottle. Fine line applicator, and now I'm using the fine line applicator again. This time I have gold Liquitex Basics in here, and that's mixed with water, and I'm going inside. Now this gold is standing out because of the black that I had done, both the floating acrylic black and the charcoal. And we do get into in screen here shortly. And I will talk more about using the fine line applicator. Gold paint or metallic paint tends to clump. I have found that the Liquitex Basics one does less of that. But the fine line applicator with the needle that goes in the nozzle, that has kept it clean. And I mix this up and I use this. This has been over a year. If it starts to clump, just empty it out, mix up a new batch. And like I said, I don't mix up the whole bottle. Now, do you see how slow I'm going? I've kept this portion of the video real time to show you. I am going slowly to get a nice even line and have control. I find it really easy with the fine line applicator to do that. They also have fine line applicators that resemble more pens that might fit your hand better. And I'm turning my page a lot to get the right angle to apply the line. Now I've done one half and I'm taking a break from the fine line applicator, not because my hand is sore, but because I want to get this in while I don't have to worry about avoiding messing up the fine line applicator paint, putting my wrist in it. This is my Sakura glaze pen. Love that. Now the ink in my laser printer is low, so I don't have it as black as I would like it. So I'm just going over it with my Sakura glaze pen. Now that's dimensional and it's glossy, so now my sentiment is shiny. I kept it on the white background here because there is white in the rest of the page and it fits. If there wasn't as much white presence, I may have used tissue paper or done some stamping of the sentiment. And back to the fine line applicator. So I go one way and then another way. And it's simply a matter of practice. I love how this gold shows against the black and the teal, and it really brings out the yellow that I had in the background and adds that little bit of shimmer and shine. Once you mix up your applicator to get practice, just practice. Different shapes, different ways, moving away from you, moving towards you, what works best for you. Wipe off the tip, put the wire back in the nozzle, and it's ready to go for next time. I'm loving this. Every part of this just worked together. And I decide I want to add some gold around the edge. I also thought about putting the templates, the puzzle pieces, back on top of the puzzle pieces and splattering with gold to get a little bit of that gold in the background. Thank you so much for joining me in creating this page. I hope you give some of the techniques here a try. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram at Creative Katie. And until next time, get creative.